So today I'm trying something a little bit different, and I am going to be doing a profile on a actress that I really love, and going to be telling you about some of her movies and reviewing some of the box sets of her various movies that you can get. And today I'm going to be talking about Doris Day. And I thought she was the perfect person to pick because Valentine's Day is coming up, and her movies are really great. Almost all of them are great for watching with somebody that you love for Valentine's. And even her movies that aren't specifically romantic comedies are really romantic. There are very few that aren't. So I think that she is an underrated actress. I don't think she got the credit that she deserved for really good performances. She's a great comedic actress, and she also had some really good dramatic turns. So, she has just a beautiful voice. I think she's right up there with Judy Garland as far as her beautiful. I love the sound of her voice, and I think that a lot of people compare Meg Ryan to her. But I think that's actually a pretty lazy comparison. They both were in romantic comedies and they both had blonde hair. But aside from that, I think that Doris Day stretched herself much further than Meg Ryan ever did and was successful in a lot of different genres, and she can sing, which Meg Ryan, I don't believe, can sing. So I really love her. I think that she, like I said, she hasn't gotten the credit that she deserves for being just a wonderful star and a wonderful actress. So I'm going to be reviewing 3 box sets today and letting you know which ones I recommend. I have them all, of course, because I love Doris Day. And the first one I'm going to talk about is the Doris Day and Rock Hudson collection. And this has 3 movies starring both Doris Day and Rock Hudson, of course. And they were such a wonderful team together. They had great chemistry, and they were really both very good at physical comedy, at slapstick, at situational comedy, at funny dialogue. And I think all 3 of these are winners. So let's talk about them. So the first movie in this set is Pillow Talk. And Pillow Talk is probably her most famous movie, and with good cause, because it is hilarious. She is so funny in it. They're both really funny. It's about 2 people, played obviously by Rock Hudson and Doris Day, who have to share a party line. And he's kind of a sex maniac guy and a ladies' man, and she's the single woman. She's really disgusted by his behavior, but then he sees her, and he thinks she's really beautiful, and she's sort of this ultimate conquest. Can he get this woman who hates him? So that's sort of the basis for it, but it has tons of pretty racy, actually, jokes. It's pretty adult. And I just think it's hilarious. It has Tony Randall and Thelma Ritter in it, and they are really fun as their side characters. And I think it's just a great comedy. It's really well done. So the next one in this box set is called Lover Come Back. Lover Come Back was made in 1961, and it is very similar to Pillow Talk. But in this case, they're both ad execs. And Doris Day is very annoyed with the Rock Hudson character because he keeps stealing all of her clients. He wines and dines them and shows them this great time, and where she feels like it should be more about the work and her work is better, but he just schmoozes them all. And there's this ultra potent alcohol that gets invented, and so then they're both wanting to have the alcohol, and they both fall sway to the alcohol, and they're both kind of trying to get this client, and so that's sort of the joke. It also has Tony Randall as supporting cast. The last one in this series, in this box set, is Send Me No Flowers. This was made in 1964, and it's sort of a strange movie. Rock Hudson's a hypochondriac, and he mistakenly gets told by a doctor that he's going to die. And so him and Doris Day, his wife, decides that he needs to find a new husband for his wife because he's going to die. They also have like a bunch of friends that are all getting divorced. So that's kind of a theme in the movie. And it also stars Tony Randall. And Paul Lynde is in it too, and he's very funny. So all three, Pillow Talk's definitely the best of the three, but they're all entertaining and they're funny. And probably Send Me No Flowers is sort of the most dark of them. So if you like that kind of comedy, then that would be it. But and Lover Come Back is probably the more forgettable of them. But they're all good. They're all entertaining. So next to review is this. This is by TCM. It is the Doris Day Collection. And it has 5 of her early films, and they're all musicals. And I have to say, none of these are great. None of these are movies she could have won an Oscar for or anything like that. But they're all entertaining. If you like an old classic musical, then you'll enjoy all of these. They're just a lot of fun, if not particularly great. And so the first one on this series is called It's a Great Feeling. And this was made in 1949. It's only Doris Day's 3rd film. And it has Jack Carson. And it's basically about Doris Day is this young girl. She wants to be a star. She ends up on the studio. It's kind of just like an introduction to the studio system. There's lots of cameos, and she kind of sees how it works to make a movie, and you just kind of see how the backlot works, and there's a little bit of a story kind of mixed in with there. So it's not that great, but it's fun. Okay, then next is the Tea for Two. And the Tea for Two was made in 1950, so it was still one of her earlier ones. This is based on No No Nanette. And basically Doris Day is this socialite, and they are trying to get her uncle to make this Broadway play, to sponsor the Broadway play. But, and they're willing to cast her in it, but her uncle will only do it. She says no to everything for 24 hours because she's just too, to be able to take advantage of her. So he wants her to say no to everything for 24 hours. So that's why it's No No Nanette as the Broadway musical. It's Tea for Two for the movie. And that one also has Gordon McRae from Oklahoma. On this list is April in Paris. And this is a pretty simple movie. This was made in 1952. And basically, Doris Day is a girl named Ethel who's in the chorus line of a show, and she accidentally gets a telegram that is meant for Ethel Barrymore. And Ethel Barrymore is being asked to be like an ambassador to Paris. And so she gets the telegram instead. So she goes thinking it's for her. And so that's sort of the comedy of the show. Ray Bolger is in it, who you would probably recognize from more of his character work. So that is April in Paris. I should say that Tea for Two and April in Paris were both directed by David Butler, by the same man. So there you go. Okay, then next in this is called Starlift. This was made in 1951, and it stars Doris Day and Gordon McRae. So again, them. And this is another one that's pretty simple. There's really not a whole lot of story to it. It's just a group of people that are trying to put on a show to entertain the troops. That's basically the story. So, okay. And there's tons of cameos and tons of actors in Starlift. Okay, then the next one is called The Tunnel of Love. Series, the final one in this box set, It was actually directed by Gene Kelly. It's probably the strongest of any of these movies. This was made in 1958, so she was more of a seasoned star by then. And it also stars Richard Widmark. I don't know him that well, but anyway, it's basically about a couple that they're trying to adopt a baby and like all the complications that they have, but it's a comedy. So that's basically the story of The Tunnel of Love. So as far as this box set of the Doris Day collection, I would say if you like old school musicals that don't have a strong plot but are a lot of fun and the music is engaging, then this is a good one for you. If you're picky about your musicals or you don't really like musicals, definitely this is not the box set for you. So that is that. Then the last box set I want to talk about is also from TCM, Turner Classic Movies. This is the Greatest Classic Legends Film Collection. And this probably has a little bit the most diversity of any of the box sets. The first one was all comedies. The second one was all musicals. This is a mixture, although I think every single one of Doris Day's movies have music of some kind. So this has 4 films in it. And the first one is called Romance on the High Seas. Romance on the High Seas. This was made in 1948, so this was one of her very first movies, if not her first. It's Jack Carson and is directed by Michael Curtis and Busby Berkeley. So you can imagine it has some pretty amazing musical numbers and some amazing dancing. Very similar to April in Paris. It's about Doris Day. She's on this cruise. She gets mistaken for this famous person, and she has to kind of pretend to be the famous person while they're on the cruise. And of course, that gets into trouble because she falls in love and all of that. So it's kind of a silly one, but again, if you like sort of those old-fashioned musicals with the dancing and the singing, then you'll like the Romance on the High Seas. Then the next one is probably my favorite of all of the Doris Day movies. It's Calamity Jane. It was made in 1953, and it stars Howard Keel and Doris Day. Evidently, it was her favorite role that she ever did. She plays Calamity Jane, who we know from the Western folklore. And she does this really fun balance of sort of pretending to be the tomboy, but also wanting to be pretty and wanting to be loved. And it has great music by David Botolph and Howard Jackson. I don't know them, but they're really fun songs. I love The Windy City, and I love Secret Love, and just I think it's right with Annie Get Your Gun. I think the songs are as strong. I think that it's actually a stronger movie than Annie Get Your Gun as far as the movie version. And I think that her and Howard Keel have really fun chemistry, and it's just a very, very satisfying musical. So one of my favorites of hers. So then we have something different from Doris Day that's different than anything else I've talked about. This was the 1955 drama, Love Me or Leave Me. And this is definitely a drama. She plays the singer Ruth Etting, and who is married to this gangster played by James Cagney. Basically, like, the James Cagney character is promoting her career and making her more famous at the same time that he's really abusing her and treating her terribly. So how can she get out of the situation when he's making her all this money and making her famous? So that's sort of the battle that she faces. And I think I think both of them are really good in it. And it's an underrated movie. I think you will really like it. This movie is called Please Don't Eat the Daisies. And this was made in 1960. Stars Doris Day and David Nevin. Basically, Please Don't Eat the Daisies is a comedy about a couple that are these Manhattanites, and they decide to move to the country, but he still has his apartment in the city, and she actually likes living in the country. She grows to like it, but he doesn't, so he's spending more and more time in the city. So then there's like this conflict between the two of them, and of course she's worried that he's gonna stray, and anyway, so it's just sort of this comedy about this couple. So This is probably my favorite of the collection just because it has the most diversity. It's got your over-the-top old school musical. It's got Calamity Jane. It's got Love Me or Leave Me, which is a drama. And it has a silly kind of rom-com with Please Don't Eat the Daisies. I think all four of these are really strong and entertaining. And then I would probably say next would be the Doris Day Rock Hudson comedy collection would be my next choice because Pillow Talk is so great. It's definitely, I would say her best movie is probably Calamity Jane, and then the second is Pillow Talk. So I think the others two are weaker on here, but they're still entertaining. And then my last choice would be the collection, just because they're all very similar and they're really not a whole lot to them. They're kind of forgettable movies, but I still find them kind of entertaining. So this would be my last one. There's lots of good behind the scenes information and featurettes and things like that. Simply her third best movie, my third favorite of Doris Day movies, isn't in any of the collections, and it is The Man Who Knew Too Much. This is a Hitchcock movie. You guys know I love Hitchcock. This has Jimmy Stewart, who I also love. And it's basically a cat and mouse type story of this couple. They're in Morocco and their child gets kidnapped and they're kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they get involved in this international crime caper thing, and they end up going all over. They go to, I think it's Paris and then to London and all over, and it's a really tense, but it's really fun at the same time. It's kind of a lot like Charade or To Catch a Thief. It's one of the more lighter Hitchcocks, but it's very entertaining, and it still has a lot of suspense. And I love it because I think it has her most iconic music moment of any of her films with Que Sera. You gotta love her singing Que Sera. That's so iconic. And it's a well shot, well made movie. And it's probably a bit of a forgotten Hitchcock that people don't remember. Altogether, that's a total of 13 Doris Day movies. So you should be happy watching a whole bunch of Doris Day movies if you get these collections. And I just think like I said, I think she's really underrated. I think she just has that it factor that you look for in a star. She did stretch herself a little bit towards the end of her career when things started to peter out a little bit. It really wasn't her fault because she was the victim of a manager who embezzled a ton of money from her. So she was kind of forced to take less than favorable projects. But I feel like even in those projects, they're not terrible. Like she didn't really make, I don't think, like a horrible movie, at least that I've seen. They're all kind of entertaining, and I just think she has that luminous quality that just makes you want to smile when you see her. And I love her voice, and I think she is one of the greats. And I wish that more people kind of knew about her movies, knew about her work, and didn't just discount her as a romantic comedy fluffy, star, because she was a lot more than that. So hopefully this video will introduce some of you to some of her movies you might not have heard of, and definitely go check them out. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you get any of these collections and if you like them. I would love to hear if you like any Doris Day movies and which ones are your favorite. Put in the comments down below. Let me know. And thanks so much. Sorry this video is kind of long, but it is 13 movies. So I hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.